What is up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. All I know is today is a great day. My legs are really sore. I did a 7 mile walk and wasn't planning on doing 7 miles. Didn't really have a plan of how much I was going to do, but definitely not 7 miles. All I know was good. Good workout, it was great. But on my way to go run some errands this morning and just kind of get into it today. Got a lot of things that need to be done, so I'm trying to get on it early and so I can get back. But I was I was on YouTube and listening to this guy. A lot of my stuff that I listen to is just men and how they talk about women, like what they what their thoughts are, how their thoughts are, the men's thoughts. So it's not just them talking about women, but it's also how men perceive things to be. And I like listening to that because it just helps me understand like where a man is at currently in his state of mind based off the things that he says, right? So one long time ago, my pastor's pastor, he's gone on to be with the Lord now, and but he said, and it was clear as day, I can tell where you're at based off the first few words that you choose to use. And I always thought that was so interesting because some people would try to hide what they're dealing with. They try to say certain things to let people know that they're doing okay. But anyone with real discernment can understand that there's more to the story than that person is leading them to believe. So the words that people use, the things that people say, especially men, I like to read into those things because it's important to know the state of a man, the state of a person in general, but the state of a man, it's very important to understand because men, they don't like to speak often, don't like to really share what's on their mind too much. And that can be tough because they're dealing with so many different things. And it's like, what are they really dealing with? And so men understand men better, clearly. But at the same time, it still doesn't mean that we always get it right. So for me, I like taking the time to really try to understand what men are dealing with uh, and how I can be of assistance. So, anyways, this guy, he was just talking about women, and he has such a negative connotation about women and how they operate. And I know women can be extra crazy and tripping and all this stuff sometimes, but men do too. And he was just saying how manipulative women are and controlling they can be. And he's not wrong. But the one thing I think that he is failing to mention is that men are manipulative. And I believe men are way more manipulative than women are. Really, they, to me, are the kings of it. And women just kind of follow suit. They've learned and understand the game a little bit more. And it's like, well, if men can do it, then I'm going to do it too. And it's like cheating. Men were always the ones who were looked at as the cheaters, and now women are looked at as the cheaters because they were just modeling what the man is doing. So it's like we need to fix those things as men. And so if you're dealing with any issues in your life when it comes to like women and your perception of them, um, and speaking negatively, whether it be about your spouse or your ex, I would encourage you to be very careful because all you're doing is setting the tone for whoever is around you to mirror what you're saying. And what you could be speaking is just based out of emotions. And if you're speaking out of emotions, then you're no better than a female is, right? And so then it's the time to use logic. Does it make sense to speak negatively about my spouse? Does it make sense to speak negatively about my ex? And the answer should be always no. If you have any reason to say yes, then you need help. And you really need to think about like that next step for yourself. But the one thing I would tell you to do, you really have to work on your words. There's a book by a gentleman by the name of Kenneth E. Hagin. He wrote this book called Words, and it's such a good book. Like I would encourage you to look it up. It's a small little book like this, and you can literally fit in your back pocket. But he said this line, and it will always stick with me till Jesus come back. But it says, the words that we spoke yesterday made life what it is today. So whatever you're dealing with right now in your life, it's because you manifested those things out of your mouth. Now I know you're going to sit here and say, well, I've asked for $1 million and I haven't gotten that. Okay, yeah, I get it, right? But things take time in general. If you believe that you're sick, we'll keep saying that you're sick. If you believe that your spouse is a jerk or she's mean or rude, then keep saying that she's mean and rude. But if you're looking for a different outcome, change your words, change your thought process, change your perspective. You have to just say something new. I would encourage you to really start working on your words. As men, we have to do that. We can literally make or break our families based off our words. You can either lift your wife up or you can tear her down. You can build your children up or you can tear them down. And it's really up to you, because at the end of the day, you're considered the head of the household, right? And so it's like, well, then what are you going to do to make sure you're leading your family? Is it to abuse them verbally? No, you got to really learn how to work your words correctly to get the best out of your spouse, to get the best out of your children, to get the best out of your situation. So if this is something that you have not really taken time to do, I would really encourage you to work those words as much as you can. Find that book. You can go on to Google, type in Words by Kenneth E. Hagin. I'll try to have it into the um, link below to just maybe get it to you. But this is where you start. It's encouraging yourself, right? As a man, if you've ever been through anything, you're dealing with a lot of pain and hurt, your words can change that. Even if it doesn't look good in the situation right now that you're dealing with, it doesn't mean that that situation is forever. But the more that you start speaking life over yourself instead of death, then eventually those situations will change. But really, what's happening is internally, you're changing, you're being developed. So even if your situation is still present, right, you are physically in changing on the inside to learn how to deal with the situation better so that you can endure till the end, right? So if you don't see progress, well, I've been asking for my $1 million and I still don't see it, well, eventually you might. But if you're just sitting on your butt not doing anything, it's going to be a lot longer, do something. So, but the best thing I could say right now is, by listening to all these men who are out here who are hurt, it's the way that they're speaking and the way that they're talking is creating this atmosphere for these guys to come in and think they can just complain and talk bad about women all day. And the more you start having this band of brothers start doing that, then now you just seem like you have a negative type of group who says that they're positive and stuff like that, but their words are not identifying that that's the truth. You can discern the hurt in those men still by the words that they're using. So the quicker you start working on your words, even if you're not in the right place at that moment, but your words are telling other people, like, I am working on myself, I'm dealing with something right now, but I'm not going to speak death over myself by using these negative words that are just going to keep me in that state. I'm going to speak life over my situation so that I can slowly get my way out of this position. And I promise you, in time, that's all you'll be saying. You will only be speaking good and not bad. I used to say I hated reading books. I used to say I hated reading books without reading a book. I didn't know nothing about no books, but I said I hated reading books. So guess what I did not do? I did not read books because I said I hated it without actually applying a book and reading in my life. But then the first book I really read was one called Shattering Your Strongholds. And when I read that book, my words changed completely. And it is impossible for me to say I hate reading books. Now I truly love reading books because I truly understand what they do in my life. And I'm telling you, the words will never come out of my mouth again like that. I can say it right now as far as like me communicating this to you, but in the true totality of me saying I hate reading books, there's no truth in that ever again. So, men, work on your words. It's extremely important and very powerful for you. Like, there's so much that can come from you just working on your words and making sure that you continue to edify yourself by reading, making sure you're pouring into yourself, and then using the application by working your words to your benefit. If you have a family, if you have a wife, or you don't have a wife, this will apply in any situation. Work those words, men, because you need to, for yourself, for your current family, or your future family. So on that note, love y'all. I'm out of here. Talk soon. Later.